teasing.com. And today, like I said, we have the awesome Roger Molina joining us to teach us some amazing tips for cutting these really precise bobs. And Roger has been a hairdresser for over 20 years. He has been one of the most requested stage artists in the United States. He was a lead facilitator at the Redken Exchange for many years, and he has an incredibly visual and detailed teaching style, very artistic, and just a wonderful hearted guy. So please welcome in the chat to Roger Molina.
Hello, everybody. Hope you guys are doing well this morning. Feel very blessed to be here. I'm very grateful to be here. Thanks, Andrew. You're the man. And I'm assuming you're going to just, yeah, there you go. Just like that. He comes and goes. I am very, very grateful that you guys have decided to join us and joining us now. If you have anything that you'd like to say throughout the course of this, please just shout it out and put it in there. And if by chance you did say something or type something in the chats and I didn't see it, it went by, do it again and do it again and do it again and do it again. And eventually Andrew or myself will catch it. So like he was saying, we're going to talk about the micro bob. Maybe there's a chance we could throw that image up onto the screen, Andrew, if you're, and there he is, the wizard. This was a look that we did, a collection that we got to build with Sam Villa. We went down to Austin and shot with his team down there. And that was my first time working with Teresa, his new artistic director, and her team, which is all pretty amazing people. And these were three of the sort of images that we came up with, juxtaposed of the different looks kind of mixed in and out, like some going up, some going down, some down the middle. When I say a look, it just means like flipping it this way, flipping it that way. But if you could see like the dynamic of where it sits, it sits very close. It's very high up on a bob, and it sits very flat. It reminds me, there was this old, I believe it was a Hero. I wish I would have put the image up. I didn't even think about it, but I always think about it when I see this bob. There's this old Hero shot where he jumps up, there's a photographer, and you can see all the bobs come out very flat, and the dresses are very flat on the bottom as well, bell bottoms. And it has this sort of like iconic image that happened there on accident. And we did it really just by using one of my personal favorite tools. We're going to use this tool, and I'm reaching for my comb, which I had put here. Right, kind of jumping back and forth between combs and scissors, because really the principle of this is to cut it very flat and very low elevation. You can see that it already has a little bit like of a fringe cut into it on this one. But that's what happened also on our model there, Jamie. When we had showed up, there was a bunch of like short layers that came around the front face, and really that was what guided us to go so short. Like with a model sometimes, or with even a client, anyone that we work on, we're taking what they have and we're using that to guide into what we're going to take them to. So I'm going to use this micro bob, like basically length here, which already exists. And it seems very short. And guess what, guys? It is. It's called a micro bob, not because it's a lob, right? It's short. It's very tight up there. And so let's just go ahead and get started on it. I'm going to grab. And if there's any challenges seeing, please just type it in. Let me make sure I refresh these comments so I can see what's happening. There you are. Hello. If there's any comments that talk about not being able to see or anything else, Andrew, would you please just like shout those out to me so that I can make sure I'm getting the right view? I'm going to turn just slightly. Okay, so finding the points of reference. The most important part of this is what kind of bob does she need? We're cutting the micro bob, but does she need a dramatic bob, or does she just want to kind of cut it? If she just wants to cut it, you're going to start back here and move your way forward, because you're not really looking for this impact. If she tells you, I'm ready, cut it off, let's do it. I always suggest to just start in the front, because she's after something right now, right? She's after something that just excites her. And I want to start over. I want to get crazy. So when you do start up here, it just does something else to the psyche. I'll point out like how long these fringes are. Maybe they made it all the way down to the chin, right? If they did, you would just focus on getting all of it, start in the center and work out and get all of it laying flat. And you might, if you had that long hair, trap it here, put it down into the comb and start with that length at the chin. I, however, don't have that length on the fringe, but I have it just behind it. So I'm going to pretend that it's still in that same little bevel or plane or whatever you call it. I'm just going to be able to grab a tiny bit of hair right here. And this is going to be what I begin with. So sometimes we don't get to cut all that we want. We just have to cut what they have there, right? And so I figured this mannequin is a good lesson for that. So let's just use it. You can see what happened right away. When I pick it up, at times, it'll pull the hair up. You can see it, the actual blade, when I pick it up, the hair gets caught in it. So what I need to increase here is my tension. If it was my fingers holding it, I would have no problem with the hair. But since I need to increase the tension slightly, I'm going to go, instead of holding it with my fingers, which is my nature, I'm actually going to hold it with a comb, press it down, and increase the tension with just the comb. There. Let's see how we do. Better. The straight, strong, sharp, heavy, but light line at the same time. All of those teeth, each cut, each one it makes in a different spot makes a different perforation. Eventually it just lines up to get rid of all of the hair. I like the way that's sitting, so let's move on. Now notice this other side. Look at how, like, it's not really that much shorter, is it? Boom. It makes a huge difference on how she feels about it. To her, that's like a dramatic haircut. With somebody's hair that's that long, when they cut off that much more, it becomes so much more dramatic. And I think the most important part about a bob for me is to celebrate, like, cutting that bob when it gets cut. If you are sweaty, worried, and she can see it in your eyes that you're not totally sure, this experience completely changes. Right? So driving in the point by being like, okay, here we go. You ready? Get your camera out, film this. You want her to really live inside that moment and be like, okay, here we go. Oh, that little accidental dropout on the bottom. That's kind of sick, actually. Let me see if that's totally ridiculous. Yeah, that's totally ridiculous. But maybe there's a way to, like, calculate some of those long strips that hang down underneath. Maybe you could, like, pin those back and out of the way. But for now, let's stick to the plan. The thing I love about shooting, right, which we got to do down in Austin and get to do again very soon. Oh, didn't go with my fine teeth. I need my fine teeth on there, Roch. You should tap it in there and then pull down. But tap that ear a little bit. Let it loosen up so it's not raising up. Notice we're doing it on dry hair. And the dry hair is everything in this case, because the hair has all those little things that it would have in nature taken out, right? The natural curl, the fuzz, the little bits. If she's going to wear it like this, or if they're going to wear it like this, start with the hair like this, right? I personally believe that cutting it off this short and making this loud example of it's a statement, right? And it happens really intensely, really quickly. So the dry hair that is ready for them to see how it looks exactly is key. Meaning, okay, let me talk about this instead. You see how the hair right now is dropping down and it's not revealing my hairline. My hairline is slightly above. So this hair that's just there, let's see if I can get a closer view, is at the hairline, right? It's going to get cut off when I do this bob, the line you can see. So I'm going to have to work some short stuff right at the nape area. You may or may not have seen that in the shot of that other one, but it does kind of cut them up and cut through the hairline back there. So that being said, I may want to come the opposite direction first, meaning the comb on top, pick the hair up underneath and pull it toward me. And let's get this guideline started here from the top surface. And literally just one little trap through it, and I can see that first level of perforation. Let me come back in again. Now I have a guide because I can see that first little zip. And now I'm going to just make sure that I camp in that one spot.
Hey, Roger, would it be too hard to drop your camera just a tiny bit?
Totally. I mean, no.
Thank you.
Oh, perfect. Oh, that's kind of sick, actually. I'm going to leave that little tail hanging out. Why? I don't know. Just feel like it. So I'm going to come and kind of chase around to the center back now. You notice that each time I turn, I just take like a natural turn. When you put your comb onto the head, it only stays on about this wide, right? This part over here leaves the head. It leaves the head going that way. So it only has this one little plane or whatever you want to call it that it will actually keep in contact. So that's all that I want to cut. If I cut any wider than that, I'll get weird little flicks or flips. So I only want to cut the stuff that's in contact with the comb, which just so happens to be about the same width of the hair that easily comes in contact with the scissor, right? So you know, if you've been cutting hair for a long period of time, or even if you've just begun, if you've cut, let's just say, a single bob, elevation is everything, right? When I stay low, my weight stays strong. And then also, as I work around here with this principle of like being very, we are completely down to the ground low, right? So it's 0 degrees elevation. As I'm cutting here, you can really see every ounce of weight. My comb and my scissor being at a horizontal position just influence how much more weight I see in that shape. So the lower, the heavier, and then the more horizontal you are, of course, the wider and heavier it becomes. This is starting to look crazy, and I'm digging on it because it's just crazy. Coming now from around, like went past center back and now made it to almost the back of the ear bevel. And as I got over here, I noticed that like it's starting to look a little bit more erratic. Let's look up close, put Roger under the microscope. As I get close to the side, look at how much more erratic it got right there. Why did that happen? Right on this other side, super clean, super strong. And I'm coming around, it's strong. And then all of a sudden it got sort of erratic right there. I'll tell you what I did without paying attention. I went to those teeth. And when I went to those teeth, the hair has more permission to move around. And it also has to squeeze in between those teeth. And so it creates gaps. Now, on this opposite comb, right, with the finer teeth, it doesn't get to squeeze in between the gaps. It forces it all into the same flat line space. So when I cut it off with the fine teeth, I keep this, opposite, strength of line, right? That's the fine teeth working. When I went to the wider teeth, look at this sort of like mishaps that happen. I can still get them. It's okay, right? There's only happy accidents, he says. No mistakes. But now, fine teeth come back through and resolve it with the tension coming straight down. And you can just do it again and get a nice clean line all at once. It's fine. I may or may not have made that mistake on purpose. But the point is that if you switch the teeth, you switch the result. That's it every time. Right? So moving on. Carrying on to this front left side. And now I'm going to be in a very awkward position. So I have to keep an eye on my camera to see, because I can't necessarily get in the body position I want to, because this is what it looks like for you. Right? Zero view. So what I'm going to do is pretend that my camera over here, or my view that I'm seeing here, is my mirror. So really being able to jump into the mode of thinking mirror. And then also, because I'm right in front of my point of reference, which is her lip, right? Or their lip right here. So I have the lip, and I also have the guideline length in the back. So I'm literally just going to connect those 2 points. So with the comb, draw the line visually. So the front of the comb goes to the corner of the lip. The back of the comb comes to the existing guideline. And then I'm going to just open the blade and use the dole. This is a dole or blade, right? Not the teeth. The teeth get complicated, but go to the blade. It's no teeth. And then pull it up to the hair. Make sure you got the fine teeth. And now we're just going to get it. Keep coming. I'm going to slide in and pull that up to it. Let's see if the view is good. You turn and get a better view. There we go. Get that lip in the front. Wild, huh? Took it even shorter than the original model. I like that. And so now we're going to take it to the front and just make sure that we have connections. I have a little bit of a longer length on the right side. It's so hard to detect, but on this right side, just slightly longer in the corner. The lip is about a ½ inch up from where it was. So I'm just going to adjust that front length. What tends to happen on my bobs is I let them drop a little bit on the front. You guys probably do the same. We've been trained to be safe and leave the length so much that we do. So good thing that we've been trained that way. So you're going to come in, redirect the angle on this just slightly to be at the corner of the lip, and I'm just going to get a little bit off of the front. Great. So now we can return back and visit this little tail that we have. Here's the thing. To you and me, the hairdressers, right? I may have been dying the whole time knowing that that's still there. As I cut this line, I may have been dying to just get rid of this. But what tends to happen as hairdressers is we want to come in there and get it and lift up on it and cut it, right? So we come in and we start cutting here, and then we lift up a little bit more, and then we cut there, right? So wait until you've put this little sharp line in, and then now we're going to come back and get just that underneath hair, and I can stay away from my line. Just get rid of this stuff underneath. You notice what I did first is just come in and lift it up, right, to where it's about 45 degrees. So I'm thinking Bobtown. And then I'm going to cut some of it off visually. 45 degrees at first, though. So I'm just going to camp and get all that stuff at once. Oh, hit my mirror here. Full disclosure, a lot of the times I get this with a clipper and just get it kind of off fast. But you know and I know that there's two separate kinds of peeps, right? There's the one that will endure or permit or actually enjoy getting a clipper cut down to the scalp like that. And there's others that might make panic. So you got to kind of feel it out. I once had a client tell me that she's always wanted to cut down to the skin with clippers on her head, and she's never been allowed to. I was like, you're never been allowed to. It was a husband thing back in the day. Like the idea of getting a short haircut with the clipper was like discussed and dismissed. So once they were done, she really wanted to cut that hair off with the clipper. So I went and grabbed the clipper and cut just the underneath like this, and she felt like she got her head shaved, and it was like a liberating sort of moment that was pretty sick, actually. So you have to feel out which one they're in before you make a move, you know. But it's best to utilize the one that's gonna create the strongest emotion. Like we cut hair, and it's probably been so long for more than a lot of you that you've done so many haircuts in so many different ways that you're looking for something that sort of excites you, yes? And we find, I think, the most excitement in, I guess I couldn't say we for this. I find the most excitement in seeing somebody go through this transition of like a big, super heavy duty shift, and then them sort of like feeling that they didn't think they could handle it, and then they could handle it, and then they become addicted to having it like that. Because that means that I become that like solution to the addiction. And maybe that's wrong or weird, and I'm sure somebody out there's got something to say about that. But the reality is that if I get somebody addicted to what I do, or like I shouldn't say addicted, if I get somebody needing, wanting the feeling of what it is that I provide, then I'm guaranteeing myself, does that make sense? Work. And now more than ever, I've come to appreciate the importance of clientele and being far away from my homeland out here in St. Louis. I have not got to do nearly as much hair on people as I've wanted to. I've had the fortune of being able to do many mannequin, and I'm grateful. But the reality is that the greatest thing about being a hairdresser is the people that you're working on, okay? And the experience that you can invoke each time is all important, because if they came and see you one month and they had a life changer, and then they came the next month and you weren't on, or they weren't engaged or enthralled, it's not a life changer anymore, and it becomes something that you can easily replace. And so without going too deep, too long into that, let's just move right along into removing some of this weight here. I got this really like nice, full, thick bottom line, but let's just face it, it's too much, right? And so I want to sort of detect now and go back through and find, where is it too much? You know, like, is it weighty at the top? Does it pull straight down and then get fat down here? Or is it kind of like, on some people, you'll have breakage all through this middle, and it's like really kind of narrow through the sides where they highlight it to death, or you know what I mean? So every one of them is different, and you have to be honest. And I would suggest just going layer by layer. What I typically do is kind of start at this outside surface. I know I have a bunch of layering toward the front, so it gets soft to about there. So let's work in that first little area back. I'm just going to skim right off the top. And when I do that, right, don't take like a hard slice through. Of course, you have a scissor. You're going to just skim the very top surface. You should be able to still see through each piece of that. And we're going to just put it into a cone. Use a closed scissor to like manipulate it. Don't really put it too much in your fingers. And if you want to just create movement back, you come in and like sort of subweave each time, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and you let it drift back the way you want it to, right? That's going to move back because I mostly move back. Then I can just take that little halo off and keep moving deeper. So a little subtle like psyche thing is, when you've just cut someone's hair all the way off, you can make them feel comforted by sticking a bunch of hair in their face. This is my own opinion. Nobody told me this. I don't think it's like the gospel truth by any means. But if I just cut somebody's hair all the way off, right here, like boom, we brought it up and they feel very exposed up under here. They're not quite sure how it feels. There's a couple different kinds of people. One will want to see it right away and let her. But then after she's seen it right away and she goes, wow, ooh, okay, whoo, subconsciously you take all that hair and you push it over into there. And now all they realize is there's hair all over me. I still have a lot of hair up there. I don't know if that's true, or if that's a lie, or if that's fake, or that's real. But I feel like, for me, somebody that just went through the big dramatic of losing a ton of hair like that loves to sit with it all over there, like, you know, like the emo version of yourself in the 90s, just feeling it. So I'm going to move from back to front. Sorry, also known as front to back with this, because I still want these top pieces to sort of drift back towards me. So now I go maybe another little light stitch in. So you notice like the hair is not a mess. It's not all over the place. It's just sort of emo laying on her bang. Emo laying. Now this one I'm going to maybe start moving forward a little bit. So I've cut everything moving back. And here's the little thing. If I peel the hair away, moving in a single direction, that hair will always move in that single direction. So, but if I come back and I pull the hair away, or peel the hair away, moving in multiple directions, let's say now I wanted to go from the back to the front, open and close in, like you notice I just weave, and then I'm using just the base of the scissor, maybe 2 or 3 teeth at a time. And that little bit of hair will want to kind of drift forward by nature. So if I want them to play left, right, then I take each section and I alternate it. Let me be an advocate for movement here. Around the face, it always kind of wants to move away, right? So by nature, so if it's the hair that like loves to just flip back, send more forward. If it's the hair that loves to just hang down and emo out in the front, you might send some back. And just realize that you're in charge. Like now I have all this light looseness that's moving around this front plane. I feel like that's okay. And then I come back. So just like we worked before with the bevel boom, and then we move back and we move back, we're going to do that same principle here. But each time I'm going to just, for the sake of education, because you guys are here and we want to see a lot, yeah? So I'm going to jump around with scissors. So that first one was the Invisiblend. It's a soft one. It gets a medium amount of removal, meaning it leaves a lot of hair. So it could look a little thick still. Maybe you want somebody that's got a little bit, like you're going to go in a little deeper. You can go one with more teeth. Recognize that more teeth means it moves a lot of hair one at a time, where bigger teeth remove a lot of hair at a time. All right. It's called a point cutting shear because it looks like you point cut into it. Let's save that one. And let's work first with the reversible blending shear. It's called reversible because you literally can flip it, right? And when I'm moving my thumb, like we're told to move just our thumb, yeah? So boop, 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 boop. When I flip it and I'm moving just my thumb, each time recognize that a different blade moves. And for now, that's enough. Let's just look at it in this perspective. Taking the bottom blade and slicing off the top just a bit. I'm going to place it into the scissor. I'm going to do a little weavy tin. And this time, look at how much more gets removed. Ooh, much more at a time, right? The ends of those are still diffused. You can't really find, oh, come on. You can't really find any strong chops or anything, right? So you can still get relatively aggressive with this scissor. But recognize that it removes a lot more than the Invisalign. Watch how much more again. Ooh, yeah. So the ends still diffuse. So you recognize if you see a chunk right here, you more than likely have a chunk right here, right? But if you see soft diffused here, you more than likely have soft diffused here. So I often will monitor the hair that I'm pulling from my scissors to make sure that I don't have a little hidden one in there, especially if I'm behind or it's been like a long time since I've done this haircut, or you know what I mean. Some days you feel like you're whipping it like real strong and everything's going perfect, and other days you feel like, oh, my haircuts are a little tougher today, right? So on the days that you feel like you don't have it all the way perfect, every single person, just keep an eye on what's coming out of your scissors too, just as a double checker, or keep an eye on those little doers, as they say. So now I'm going to just work this one, like weave it from the front, switch it back, and watch me reverse it. So when I'm cutting towards myself or moving back here, my teeth are on the top, right? And then we'll move gracefully back. When I flip my scissor and I'm coming back the other way, my teeth now are on the top still. So I can still do the little weavy tin, but my teeth still remain on the top. I found that to be the one that I like the most. There's some, variations out there as far as what you get when you turn it to the teeth on the top, teeth on the bottom. But what I'll notice is that I get a smoother result here on these top surfaces when the teeth are on the top. That being said, when I get down underneath, sometimes I'll flip the teeth underneath because I'm like, it's so heavy under there. I need to just get some of that weight out. So when you get down to, let's just jump down to a heavier portion. This is going to be heavy, no doubt. I'm going to get a no dent clip from Sammy and just keep that stuff out of the way. Don't wrap the hair all up and put it away and everything else. You don't want to influence the roots so much. But under here, so heavy, so thick. Right? And I saw that comment a little bit while ago. I feel like this still ends up so heavy, and that's true. You have to come and remove weight heavy time down here. So now, instead of having the tooth on the top, I'm going to put the teeth on the bottom, right? And because I'm going to remove a lot of weight down here, I'm not even going to do the little subdivide thing. I'm just going to get all this stuff. But when I take each section, I already cut that one. Don't get in two. But when you take a section, you need that blade on the bottom, right, to take it so that it's a safe, like, entering and exit, and then flip your blade. And then so if I wanted to get the effect of like weaving it, right, I'll just start at the front and then stop, go to the middle, and then come back, stop, go to the end, and blah, blah, blah. So it's the same as me taking the weave out and doing it, but now I just did it with like where I started and stopped the scissor. And each time I take some of these sections and remove more in the internal, the air around it gets greater and greater and starts to like stack up and build up and get bigger. So let's move into a tooth that maybe is going to have a little bit more of a visual.
Roger, Rosario is asking, would you be able to use the back comb weave and then cut technique?
On this back comb and weave, back comb and weave. Okay, so she's saying
The
Rosario.
technique that Sammy does a lot in the fringe, where he kind of like back combs the hair and then does the weave and cut.
Oh, gotcha, gotcha. Yeah, you absolutely could. What you're gonna get in this, so in this case, right? And thank you for that, Rosario. All these hairs are falling straight down and going in natural fall, and then I'm cutting them like at this 45 degrees. In our bob land and our bob teaching, they always kind of said to us that the 45 degree is it, right? So you're gonna get a bob result at this level. When I take this hair and tease, right, and I get a bunch of stuff, maybe I intermixed it and sort of like weaved it and teased it, whatever it may be. If I'm taking that hair and teasing it and pushing it up and pushing it up, pushing it up, it's getting this sort of like exaggerated, let me turn that a bit more, diffusal, right? The roots getting teased in, and there's all these sort of short hairs going everywhere up here. So what it tends to do by nature, and this is just an opinion, what it tends to do when you push it up like that is it causes it to sort of raise up and air up a little bit more. That's if that's what you're looking to do, Rosario, I'd say get in there, dude. Tease it all you want because it's going to lift up. If you want it to stay down, stay hard, stay heavy, stay strong, don't tease, because teasing makes the hair lift. Eh? So even in this scenario right here, like if let's just do it for fun because it's a mannequin and nobody cares. Maybe we need to see it to believe. So we're going to take and tease, right? And then maybe I did a little stitch here and then cut. Did some others. Take my tease out and see what we have. Just a slight raise, right? We did it moderately. So we get this slight raise of shape. It kind of just barely wants to pop up right here a little bit with one section. Let's keep going and see what happens. So we're going to dive deeper now. That was towards the top surface. If I had to call it anywhere, I'd say it was above the parietal ridge, but I don't have to call it anywhere. So I'm going to say it was at the top. I'm going to take this piece and do, oh yeah, we got to tease. Rosario says tease. Let's try. Oh yeah. So I got a little bit more aggressive with my tease. You notice it just kind of went wham everywhere. That's okay. I'm going to just take a little bit of the hair left out and we're going to get some of that. I'm still going to diffuse. I'm opening and closing. So if you can't see, the scissor is just opening about that much. Now it's starting to really while out just a little bit each time. I'm going to go deeper still. So what's going to happen over here on this left side, it's not going to lay down perfectly. It's going to want to stick out a little bit more because, let's see if this is long enough to tease even, eh? Maybe I need a little something to help it. Well, no, let's not put product. That'll be anti-science. Tease a lot. And I just pick up that little bit of hair and we're going to come in. So now we've teased this whole little front left side and then cut it. What I'm guessing is that when we laid them down, and blessed child, it worked. Let's see if we can get a straight eye view. We have one that likes to sort of come up. This one likes to pick up a little bit more so far, right? And we have one that's liking to lay down more flat. The difference, I would say, would be that if you change the elevation at which you cut hair, it takes away its restrictions. What I mean is, the world is based off, oh man, how can I say this without being so ridiculous? If I drop this comb drops that fast all the time, no matter what, right? I don't throw it up and then it changes speed. It'll drop. If I just drop it here, poof, it'll drop at the same speed. This hair will drop at the same pull, the same weight that it has, and the same level of gravity that's being conducted under is pulling down at a certain weight. Because it has all those hairs and all those friends hanging down, it stays strong. When I pick it up, right, and I tease it back, I'm pushing the hair even further up into elevation. It changes the degree of which you can measure. You can't at that point say 45, 90, 180. You can't do that once you start teasing. It becomes this sort of artistic variable in which unexpected things can happen, but you can also utilize them to your advantage to make that thing happen over and over again. Just do it the exact same way over and over again. And so on this one, I have created that big push up of volume and everything else. And that is coming from that tease and that expression that happens with the tease and then backcombing. If I don't necessarily want it to lift up so aggressively, right? And that nobody's considering that a wrong thing at all. Trust me, these bobs and this length, I love them when they're stacking up and going wild and going everywhere. That's when I think they look best. I do like to keep that limited to like the areas above the round of the head myself. So if you are a person that, let's just go at it with this same scissor that we just used. If you're a person that likes it to stay low, right? Or if you have a person that you're working on that you like to stay low, the best result achieved, in my opinion, to keep the hair down and weighted, pretending that it's like still heavy with gravity and all that, is to stay below that 45 degrees, even like right at it. You may not be able to tell because my comb's in the way, but right behind it, my pinky is resting on their head. And my pinky is allowing me to get stability in the same way that if I was taking this hair and holding it to cut it at 45 degrees, right? But you can see just from me grabbing it with my fingers, look how much more tension I put on it, pulling it to the side. When I leave it in the comb, the tension remains natural. And the elevation stays lower, and so the natural remains in it. The way that gravity relates with this hair will stay the same because I didn't do anything anti-gravity. And maybe that's what we should call those new layers, as anti-gravity layers or something that speaks to exactly what they are. Because in no means is it wrong or uncivilized. It's that uncivilized thing about it that gives it its own nature and makes people that see it love it. So let's take, so we can have some expression over here the same. Let's take the concept of, instead of back combing, we just really get weird. And I'm going to point cut out here. The reason why I point cut out here is because you guys hear me talk about the teeth on the top and the teeth on the bottom earlier. The idea is that if the teeth stay on the top here, but I increase the elevation, Rosario, still talking at that same point. It's been a long time, but here we are. If I go up diagonal in elevation above it and I come down at it, right? This hair by nature is being gravitally challenged. It's being directed up and out. And I want to maintain as much like civilized nature with blade as I can. And that is that the blade cuts from the top, the hair will best lay down. So if I'm coming at it, let's just do one that's not finding the civilized nature. This one's going to get weird. I lift it up to the 45 degrees, and I'm going to come in and cut from underneath. I'm going to cut from the bottom to the top and the front to the back and the back to the middle and the side to the side. And this hair by nature, when I turn it towards you, will have a much more interrupted flow. It wants to wild out. It wants to get crazy. And maybe I use that here and there when the hair is really, really full to get it to collapse down some, but recognize that the more weight you take out, the less shape there is in the end, right? So it's a balance between finding the right amount of light, the right amount of loose, the right amount of full, and working with all the different procedures in order to achieve that. If you wanted to come back and on this top stuff, maybe you wanted to just sort of loosen up the very, very crown a bit. Still some more to do up here, maybe. I'm going to take and work now with a 14 tooth, and we're going to think more like in a layering process. But we're almost there. It's 10:40. We're rounding the corner to the end of this. But I just want to give you guys one or two more things real quick, sharp ones. Get it? Sharp ones. And you're going to take just a vertical section of this. What happens when you go vertical? Right? Does the shape get thicker? Does it get thinner? Does it get leaner? Think about it. So if I take it vertical, I'm wanting it to get a little lighter, right? So I'm taking this straight up. Now here's where I got to go down a little bit. Just slightly. I'm going to take this hair straight up from where it lives. Okay, and at that point, you see like it makes a nice sharp point here, which means that it has a ledge here, right? So the idea is to diffuse that ledge without losing the strength in that shape. So go up vertical. And I'm going to cut on the outside. I wish I could now raise this up just a little bit, Andrew. I know. I'm like working with the camera that's 6 feet above my head. It's tight. Making me feel real tall. So take a fine layer of this, right? You don't want a big, thick section. You want a little bitty whisper of a section. You want to be able to see through it almost all the way through. Take it up vertical and cut on the outside of my hands. It'll just get the slightest little fold. You'll get little bitty bits. Right, and here's the truth. It didn't really cut much. I didn't really check this scissor. It's been in the case for a while. I feel like it's a little loose. Let's go with a one tap. I don't know if you could hear that click or not, but I went one click to the due north, tighter. Let's see. There we go. Now it cuts it like butter. So every once in a while, if you get in a scenario where you're like, that didn't do exactly what I wanted, go to her, him, them, this. That's the thing. You're going to take this piece straight up again, and I'm going to cut on the outside of my hands. Boop. And you can see how much light that gets in there. Being vertical, it's going to lose the weight because I'm taking it up vertically, and it's going to lose the weight because I'm point cutting inside of the frame. There's one last thing that I'll show you in regards to scissors. Take the same exact section, and instead of cutting outside of my hands, I'm going to cut inside of my hands. And when you do that, you get much more impact. The reason is the tension's increased. And when the tension's increased, there's more at stake, right? I can get it now versus when it's on, I don't want to do too much to each section. So it's like a new section. When it's on the outside of my hands, I can sort of like turn and whisper with it a little bit more, right? As I cut. When it's on the inside of my hands, I'm almost committed to just one fold. But look at how much I get. And wait, let me see if we can get a tight on that. The point cut result is exactly that, right? It ends up looking like little, that since we have points here, that we have little points here. And so the 14 tooth comb or 14 tooth scissor, it's the 13200 as it's, if you're a numbers person. The 13200 gives you that result of point cutting without being point cutting. What I still don't love is when you take this scissor and you point cut with it. It's not called a point cutting scissor because you point cut with it. It's called it because you fold the blade and it ends up looking like you point cut it. Cool. So definitely want to highlight and point out that the scissor is the main bit. We can drop this back down as we wrap this up. We're at 1044. Check out all my lights back there if you want. It's cool. And I'm getting to the final little bits, final dusties. And you saw that the fringe was on there when we began, but it's still a tiniest bit heavy. Here's the one that I'd say final touch. Leave the hair as it lay and come and remove the hair that you do not like. Right? This one I can be a lot quicker handed with it because it's called an Invisiblend. Right? It has a blunt blade and then the cutting teeth are what actually do the cutting. So put the teeth on the top, my personal opinion. I like the teeth on the top around the fringe. And you're just working up from the center part out to the side. As we're wrapping up, Andrew, and as I'm getting close here, if there's any questions that you see that stand out that I've repeatedly missed, maybe we could jump some of those in there at the end here. But I'm just removing some of the stuff away from the face. I'm working with the open close about halfway mark on the scissor. I personally like to guide it with my hand that's doing nothing, right? So I'll put my scissor on the blade of my hand or put my hand underneath and kind of hold my scissors straight just so that I'm a little bit more stable. And we can finish it off with any old thing. Doesn't really matter much as far as product. What I think these days I'm getting to where hair for me is best without a lot of stuff in it. This is, what do we have in it? This is all that I put in it at first. The Lonza smoothing serum, the CBD one. That's literally all that there is in there. And the good old H2O. And then we're going to come back now and I'm just going to put in, this is like a little spray, texture spray. It's by 7. It's really just to create a little bit of froth and flow, a little puff, if you will. Not too much. You don't need much. I like hair to be clean dirty, where it doesn't look fresh and smooth, but it also doesn't smell old and gross. And then just for the final touch, a little forming fiber, because I can't really get too much pieciness with the ends, and I don't want to go so much texture spray that I end up with too much texture spray. So I got a little bit of, what is it called? Forming fiber by Verb. And I'm going to put that in my hands. Here's the deal. Forming fiber or putties or pastes or stuff by themselves, they can be a little intense, right? I don't want to make the hair look dirty all the way, especially by the bang, because you know how fast those get dirty and summer's on our way. So I am going to just put a drop. Let me see if I can get this shot. Oh, that was 2 drops. Let's go 3. So I'll put 3 drops in there, and I'm going to schmutz and whirl it all together. And then once I have like a little putty paste mixed up into my hand, you can take your favorite, whatever we put before. So I put that texture spray on there. It's called whatever, right? And then I spray that right onto it. It has an expellant, an alcohol expellant. All of them do. Don't let them lie to you. So it doesn't freeze up in the bottle, but then it almost virtually disappears. So I had the paste, and then I put an oil, and then I sprayed a little bit of the texture spray on top of it. And now I have this malleable, matted, you can hear the texture of my hand change. And don't get crazy. You're going to start underneath just like you did if it was long. You just want to put some here and there to give it some action. And the idea is really to focus like on the underneath where it can like endure the most. And then by the time you get to the front, you just have the tiniest bit on your fingers. And I'm not up here going, right? When I touch up here, the close-up is that I'm just using the tip of my fingers to put this stuff on. You may by nature want to come down and just rub it all off and get it off of your hands, but that's right on the worst part to do it. So get that like nature that you have to just rub the palm of your hand on it underneath in the back. And as you work your way forward, you'll have less and less and less and less and less. Texture's sick now. So how are we feeling about it, Andrew? You feel like this is nice, Steve? Are you into it? Are you loving me?
Oh, yeah.
You're like Roger Molina. You're my best friend.
It's beautiful.
She's a nice piece, huh? I like that you can kind of like go that way with it, kind of like left side one way and right side the other way. And some days you're like, no, dude, just straight up. I don't want to see anybody.
Yeah, the softness and pliability of it, it's gorgeous.
Post 2021 phase. Like, get away from me, everybody. No, I love it. I hope you guys enjoyed and had a good time cutting that with me. I felt like I just began, and here we are ending, right? That's correct. Let me go up a little bit just so I can say hi. And I am most grateful for the opportunity to be with you guys and to spend a little bit of time. I would invite you to check out any of the stuff that's coming up this week and next week and the weeks to come. We just added some members to the team. We added some ambassadors to the squad. I'm going to now officially an art team member with the Sam Villa team. And so is Ellen Devine, my partner. And we are very, very excited to be on board with that. We got a bunch of stuff coming very soon. We're getting ready to move and joining new teams out there in the world and stuff. So man, there's a lot happening. So I would love to stay connected with you guys. If you want to send me any messages or pictures or any questions or anything that you had from today, I'm more than happy to answer. And in fact, it makes my day when you do. So please, be in contact. And if you use any of the techniques or things, I learned this, I used it, I love it, take a picture, you tag me in that. And I know I didn't invent anything that happened today. Sam invents all the scissors. I just figure out how to use them. Okay. But anything that you use, play with it. And if you do like find something exciting, a new way to do it, share that with me. I want to know. I want to know what you did with it. So I appreciate it very much, Andrew, the team, Sammy, and looking forward to March. I get to go shoot again. So we're going to go do this whole experience again and hopefully be back in the future, maybe next quarter, the one after that, to talk about what happened at the next shoot. And clue you guys in on some of the shapes, and I'm excited. I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about what it is, but I know that it has a lot of rock and roll influence, and pitter patter goes my heart when I hear that. So
we'll be looking forward to seeing that for sure.
Yeah, buddy, can't wait. So thank you very much for your time, and Andrew, if there's anything you'd like to say to the people, I will leave it to that. And thank you.